All right, it's Q&A time, and I've got a list of questions in front of me, mostly reselling. I will put timestamps down below in case you want to skip to a different section, but I'll be doing reselling questions first, a few YouTube, a few personal questions, and then I do have one real estate question at the end. You guys sent me these questions on Instagram and YouTube in the last couple of weeks when I asked, so I appreciate it if you sent me one. I think I've got 21 questions, so we'll get through them. But yeah, so we'll just start with reselling. All right, first question. Do you calculate sell-through rate in your decision to purchase or just use comps? Great question. And so I don't want my answer to influence anyone, especially any new resellers, because I think looking up comps is one of the most valuable things you can do. And I look up comps for anything that I'm unfamiliar with. But I have been doing this over 5 years, and so I'm very familiar with quite a few brands and items. And so I don't have to look up comps like I did back in the day. But I do think it's a huge help to, if you see a brand that you're unsure of, maybe it's got a material fabric that feels nice, or maybe the tag looks unusual, or maybe the item looks really cool. I do think looking things up and looking up new brands is one of the best ways to get better at reselling. And sometimes it's a complete dud, but at least you may, or you hopefully will remember that for the next time when you see that tag. But for sell-through rate, which is a little more complicated, there's different ways people calculate sell-through rate. I'm not going to make a video, I'm not talking about the details, but if you just Google, I wouldn't even say, maybe watch a few videos of sell-through rate by Googling or watching some videos on YouTube. But in the reselling space, how I look at it is how many items are listed versus how many are sold of a similar item. So let's just say I'm looking up a loft black button front shirt for women, size large. And there's probably going to be 500 listed on eBay. And if I go to solds, there might be 50 sold in the last 90 days, because the solds on eBay are the last 90 days. I'm using eBay as an example. It's going to be different on each platform, but whatever platform you use, look at how many are available versus how many are sold. There are some programs that will give you some sell-through rate calculations for different platforms. I haven't used any of them in a long time, but ultimately the easiest thing you want to look at is if there's a lot available for sale, then you might need to be competitive with your pricing. So if some of the sold comps are $50, but a lot of them are $30 and some of them are $20, if there's a lot of that same item listed, to be competitive, you're probably going to want to list a little bit on the lower end. So factoring that in, not just looking at, oh, someone sold one for $50, so I might be able to get $50 for it, but rather looking at a whole bunch of different things will hopefully make it better for you as far as understanding how quickly that item might sell, or if it will even sell, if it's worth purchasing it at the price that you can get it for. So, it seems a little overwhelming and daunting. I think as long as you get familiar with comps and get comfortable understanding comps and the complexity there, then moving on to maybe looking at those different factors. As far as me, I don't calculate sell-through rate when I'm in stores. I'm not there with my calculator out figuring that out. I can usually spot, are there a lot of the same items listed? And how many have sold in the last 90 days? And do I think that there's demand for it? Because it is ultimately all supply and demand. So for me, I don't do any calculations. I do look at many different things. And sometimes I don't look things up because I've sold them so often that it's like, recently I picked up 2 Equipment Femme shirts. Those used to do really well for me 5 years ago. They don't sell as quickly anymore or for as much money, but I still pick them up, and I'm not looking up comps for every single one. I just kind of know I like the brand. It will sell for me eventually. So, I think personal experience for me is very valuable, but if you don't have that personal experience, then looking up comps and trying to look at all those different factors is helpful. Also, personal experience can change. So, I understand that brands sometimes will go down in value and demand. So it's all, I usually don't have a lot of time at thrift stores because I just don't have I'm just trying to thrift in a shorter period of time. So I don't look up things to quite the detail that I probably should. And that's okay. I've accepted that. But if I wanted to be a better reseller, I would probably spend more time looking those things up more often. All right, number 2, my question is, how overwhelming can it be performing all the things that it takes to keep a reselling business alive and thriving by yourself? Their examples are sourcing, photographing, travel to source, real estate, shipping, etc. Sounds like so much you always seem upbeat. I don't really feel like I'm always that upbeat, to be honest. So thank you if that's how I seem to some of you. But I think that I don't take this all too seriously. So at the end of the day, at the beginning, and when I was really trying to grow my reselling business, and I was more stressed about every little thing because it mattered more. These days, it's like, well, I've got other things going on, so I don't have to rely so heavily on reselling, and that has made it a little bit easier to deal with the trials and tribulations of reselling. Is that the right? Whatever. I don't know if you're asking me in the personal question of how I'm juggling so much, which includes real estate, or if you're asking just in general, is it feasible to kind of keep a reselling business alive and well, and not be overwhelmed? I'll answer both. I think it can be very incredibly overwhelming to be a reseller, especially full-time, but even part-time. If you've got other things and other obligations, I think it can be very hard because I think it's so easy to get distracted for most of us. And so it feels like maybe you're listing 10 items that day and you're going to ship out 3, and maybe you're going to stop by a thrift store for an hour. If you didn't have anything else to distract you and you just did those 3 things, you're looking at, 3 hours of work, but most of us aren't that good, myself included. So we get distracted. So that 3 hours of work stretches across 12 hours in a day, and it feels like you've just worked all day. And I think that is the most overwhelming component of reselling is it can feel like you're just always reselling, when in reality you're not. You're just distracted by 5 million things going on in life, which we all are, and it's fair. But is it possible? Yes. There are plenty of successful resellers out there that juggle everything and make it happen. And I think a lot of them, the really successful ones, have found ways to stay productive in some way, shape, or form, or stay on task. So maybe they have a whiteboard and they have a listing goal and they keep track every single day of how many they've listed and are they hitting their goal for the week, the month, the whatever. Some people, like me, when I really want to be disciplined, I'm using some sort of timer method, the Pomodoro method. And I don't do that often, certainly. But when I really want to power through something, and if I have a high, lofty goal, I'm going to do something like that, which, is kind of what my chatty work with me's were kind of based off of, is just set a timer and work for 45 minutes and try not to get distracted, and then take breaks. I think the biggest problem I think with reselling is it's easy to shop for most people. And so a lot of times you can have these, like a death pile, for example. You like to go out and buy stuff, but you don't like to take the photos or to list the items. And so you just get this pile of unlisted inventory. And then if it's not listed, you're not selling things. And it's easy just to get very, off balance. So I think it can be very hard. Personality types. There are some people that thrive working for themselves, and there are some people that just, they can't do it, and that's okay. Neither one is better than the other. It's just, it can add these elements that are hard. For me personally, I think I've always kind of managed to juggle a whole bunch of things, whether in my professional career before this, when I was employed, or as a self-employed person. So, and I think that having real estate and YouTube helps me not burn out on reselling so much. But yeah, it can be so hard. I'm not even going to lie. It can be so hard. And I have really tried hard the last few years to find some work-life balance. And I could do a lot more with reselling, but I also need time off. And I also prioritize other things like real estate these days. And so it is what it is. But I don't feel upbeat all the time. But I don't think it's all that bad. I'm pretty happy with how things have turned out. All right, number 3. What is the biggest obstacle you have had to overcome with both reselling and real estate? So I didn't know where to put this. Could be a reselling question or a real estate question. So I just put it up near the top. And I'm not sure if the question is like the biggest challenge doing both at the same time or just with both of them separately? So again, I'll answer both ways. Biggest obstacle I've had to overcome with juggling both of them at the same time is letting reselling chill and not beating myself up over it, because reselling, I can fill in when I have free time. Real estate is so time sensitive. If someone calls me and says they want to see houses in an hour, there's a possibility I'm going to have to jump on that and drop everything for them. Or if there's paperwork, deadlines, due offers, negotiations, back and forth, there's a lot of time sensitive things. And those will always be more important than reselling, which can kind of be done anytime. Only exception is shipping. I try to ship on time. But even then, you know, I've got a couple days cushion to ship. So I think that juggling the two, it has been hard to scale back on reselling because I feel like I did more. My numbers have gone down as far as sales, as far as listings. And that's hard. That's hard because then I'm still in the back of my mind thinking I could do more. And it's like, but at the same time, I am juggling other things. It's, you know, so I'm trying to cut myself some slack, but that's been probably the hardest thing for me, is to kind of shift my priorities. And if separately, I think the biggest obstacle with reselling has been to not just follow what other people are doing and saying, to kind of figure things out on my own. And sometimes that means doing things wrong, learning the hard way, but at least I'm going to learn it my way, and I'm going to learn what works best for me. I think there's just a lot of bad advice in reselling, and I try not to teach people how to resell, because I think ultimately we all have such different circumstances that someone else's tip, like you should be going to the thrift store for an hour every day, that can't apply to someone like me. I'm just too far from any decent thrift stores. But that might apply to you. That might be a great strategy for you. You know, so I think just finding your own way in reselling and drowning out some of the noise is a huge obstacle. But I feel like I've made it. I think a lot of people have. And real estate, the biggest obstacle, getting leads. That's definitely, I mean, you can get a license and pass a test pretty easily, but to get clients and get people contacting you and wanting to buy or sell with you is incredibly hard. And that's why most people fail at real estate, because but I overcame that. So I feel like I've been doing okay with that as well. Number 4, do you have any insight regarding how the economy impacts the resale market, or advice to thrive during trying economic times as a reseller? I have heard so many people kind of talk on this topic. Some people have said that when the economy is really bad and people are pinching pennies, that they're more likely to buy more pre-owned because they don't have the money to buy new and they still want to buy things. I've heard that argument from some somewhat reputable people. I'm not saying they're wrong. There's just no data that was ever given to me to kind of prove that. There is the lipstick theory that is proven that this has nothing to do with reselling, but when the economy is rough, lipstick sales will increase. If I can find the article, I will try and link it down below. But in a sense, basically, women, I'm just using this study that they did, still want to buy something nice and for themselves, and they might not be able to go buy a new bag or a new pair of shoes, but when times are rough, maybe they can afford that $10 lipstick. And so lipstick sales tend to increase when the economy is tanking. I really hope I've got this right, because it's been years since I've read this study. But I think that there could be some truth to that with the reselling market as well. Some people will want that, Louis Vuitton bag, and if times are tough for them, they might not buy it new, but they might go to the resale market and get their fix there. But, and people still need to wear clothes even when times are rough. But with so much cheap fast fashion, I don't know. I feel like there's just such an increase in fast fashion. You can go onto Amazon and buy so much cheap stuff, or any of those websites. And so I don't know. I mean, coming to my store and buying something used for $20 or going to Amazon and buying something new, is the quality the same? Maybe not, but I don't know. I just think for me, the biggest suggestion I've always made, and I live and breathe to this day doing is just have multiple revenue streams so that if times are tough with reselling, you're not 100% reliant on it. I pay all my bills myself. I would not be able to be able to do that without, without other revenue streams. So that's just me. But I do think reselling has changed in the last couple of years, and I think it will continue to change. And, try new things, try new platforms, drop things that aren't working. It's okay to just say, I'm quitting this because maybe it's the best thing you can do. It'll free your time up to do something else. But also try to do things that are actually going to produce some money. For example, it's like a lot of people, maybe I can start a YouTube channel. A lot of people put a lot of time in a YouTube channel with no guarantee of money. Yes, there is money to be had potentially, but the risk is pretty great. The risk and reward can be very great, but it's not going to pay out anytime soon for most people, and it may never pay out for you. So it might be, and I think everything's worth a try if you want to, but I just think there's also other ways you can make money, other side hustles that you can do that will be a guaranteed payment with that time. So, but I think we're all on our own journey, just trying to make it every day. And that's part of the fun, I think. All right, number 5. Do I regret not doing live sales? This was a fun one, and I'm excited to share. But before I get to that, I did just want to mention the sponsor of today's video, which is Earthbreeze. All right, guys, be honest with me. How much laundry do you do as a reseller? Because I feel like I'm always doing laundry. And you guys know I absolutely love Earthbreeze. I've been using this to wash all my clothes, personal and for reselling, for almost a year now, and I can't say enough good things about it, seriously, because I do a lot of laundry. So if you haven't heard me talk about Earthbreeze or you've forgotten, Earthbreeze is basically convenient in a lot of ways. For one, you just pull one out, you throw it in the wash, you're good to go. It washes your load of laundry. If you've got a light load, you can actually tear this in half. Or if you have a heavier soiled load, is that how you say it? You can actually put 2 in just to be safe. But I personally love the fact that I can get the fragrance-free option because as a reseller, I don't want to ship off clothing items that have a stronger scent than I would prefer. So, but they do have another option as well with fragrance. I am on my last one in this little thing, this little package. But what's great is I don't have the big plastic jug like I used to have. Not only is that saving me space in my cabinets, and I don't have a dedicated laundry room, so that's very meaningful to save some space. But also, this is not a big plastic jug. This is plastic free. I'll show you how easy it is to tear it apart. 91% of those big plastic jugs don't get recycled. So that just goes to landfill. So I feel better about using this. Also, I'm on my last one, but I already have my backup ready to go. Haven't opened it yet. I'm on a subscription plan. So it's a flexible subscription plan. You can pause it, cancel it, or just adjust how often you get it at any time. And they have 100% satisfaction guaranteed. So if you aren't happy with it, you get to keep it. You get to cancel it, you get to get your money back, and no questions asked, which I think is really great that they have that confidence in their product. I would never send this back or ask for a refund because it works so great for me. It's just really great that it's a liquidless detergent that's just so convenient to use. So let me show you how it works. It is super easy. It dissolves in hot or cold water, which I'll show you here. And I just love the fact that it breaks down so easily, gets all my clothes clean, and that's the most important thing, especially with thrifted clothes. We all know that that stuff can smell. Okay, when you're ready to try Earthbreeze for yourself, you can go to earthbreeze.com/COMMONTAGS to get started with 40% off. That's earthbreeze.com/COMMONTAGS for 40% off your subscription. So here I am showing you how compact it is in my cabinet space, which is awesome, and I'm just really digging it. Big thank you to Earthbreeze for sponsoring another video. It's been a game changer for me. It's just so easy, which is awesome. Back to the Q&A to answer more of your questions. All right, back to question number 5. Whew, I need to go quicker. Do I regret not doing live sales? I don't. I do think, as with anything that I've turned down that could have paid me money, that I think I could have done well at, that is one of them. I think I could have done well and made money doing it. I turned down a $10,000 video sponsorship one time that other people in this community happily accepted. And it was a decision that I did not take lightly, but I did it because I thought it was a responsible thing to do for me, because I don't think I would have been honest. And I try really hard to stay true to myself and stay honest. And I think with live sales, I stayed true to myself and I stayed honest. I also have a lot of other things going on. So maybe I would have done it if I were still pursuing reselling as a, primary source of income. But I don't regret my decision or my statements on it. I don't like that way of shopping. I think it is addicting. I think people are purchasing things they probably don't need or really want. That impulse stuff. There's money to be had there. And if it's something that you want to try or really love doing, I don't knock people. I think it is shifting the reselling game. And I know quite a few of my friends in the reselling space who aren't doing live sales are seeing it affect their sales with just regular reselling because they're promoting it so heavy, specifically Poshmark. I've never watched a live sale in general. It's kind of like why I would never live in Vegas. I know myself. I know I'm impulsive. I know I could get addicted to pretty much anything. So I just can't put myself in those situations where it becomes an issue. And that's just me. But I can't predict the future. I am not surprised it's doing well, and I'm happy for anyone that's doing well with it. But I don't think it's perfect. I've heard some horror stories, and I think it's another thing to learn. So if you are trying to pursue reselling, I think that is a great direction to at least try on your own to see if it works for you. But for me, I have no regrets. All right. My question is, this is the person saying it. I didn't change the wording, whatever. Is that I specialize in plus size. I sell in Mercari only. Should I try selling on Poshmark, or do I reach my target audience better on Mercari? I don't sell on Mercari. I tried it years ago, and I didn't like the platform. So I can't speak on Mercari. I can say I don't understand why there would be more plus size on Mercari than there would be on Poshmark or eBay. There are definitely different markets, demographics, but as far as size, I'm a huge fan of at least having two platforms, at least. I also, so I sell on eBay and Poshmark. It surprises me what sells on each of those. I sell more mature brands sometimes on Poshmark and more super trendy and expensive high-end brands on eBay. And, it varies so much. But I personally am a fan of, if you're going to be a reseller, sell in two platforms, if you can. And if you use a cross-listing service, which there are free ones out there right now, so it wouldn't even cost you to do that, then it makes it easy to get those items listed over. But yeah, I can't speak on Mercari. I think there's plenty of plus size shoppers on Poshmark, and try it out. Yeah. Number 7, how do you stay so disciplined? It is so easy for me to get distracted during tasks or thrift too much just because I enjoy doing it. So that kind of goes back to my first answer, or the answer to the first question. I think that it's funny that so many people think I'm so disciplined, and I think it's partly because I've done some productivity videos, and I think people just think that that's what I do every day, which I don't. When I set goals, I have to have some productivity, but I don't stay that disciplined. I mean, I'm disciplined in that I work well for myself. I can get out of bed and I can have some things that I need to get done for the day, and I usually get quite a bit done. But I have a lot of days where I'm like just bouncing off. Like I feel like I've worked 4 hours and got nothing done. So I think we all struggle with this. But yeah, the thrifting too much, I would say, is probably the biggest challenge for a lot of resellers. Not me. It's never been a struggle because thrifting is a hike for me. And so that... between gas money and time, it's just harder for me to thrift as much. If thrift stores were closer to me, would I be popping in more regularly? Probably. But I think that, setting some goals to not thrift until you've gotten your death pile down to a certain point, or just start donating stuff. If you're not going to list it, donate it, start over. There's so many different things. I wouldn't feel bad about it. I think most resellers are pretty gosh darn distracted, and it's just about finding a way to, even if it's 2 hours a day where you're just like, I'm going to grind out 2 hours a day and take a couple breaks during that 2 hours and just try to just commit to that, then, you know, hopefully that will start chipping away at your death pile and make you feel less bad if you go thrifting the rest of the time. Or just get pickier when you're thrifting. Buy higher priced items, higher value items, so you're not buying as much. Either way, I'm not that disciplined. Especially, I don't know. Yeah. I remember I was on a live with a reseller months ago, and someone was like, oh no, Courtney's here. We all have to get serious. And I'm like, I am just not even, I'm not that disciplined. So if that's what people think I do all the time, can I be really disciplined? Absolutely, when I need to be. And that, I think, is a great skill to have. And I don't have a death pile, but I also am okay donating my bad buys and just moving on. So I don't know if that's the answer, but that's my answer. I'm sticking to it. Number 8, what is your system to photograph on a hanger versus a mannequin? Great question. I always try mannequin if I can. Unless it's too small or too funky, I will put it on a hanger. So some jumpsuits are just too hard. They might fit on it, but it's just too awkward for me, so I might put it on a hanger. But I have come to the place now where I have a mannequin. I think things look better on it. I'm not modeling things. To me, it looks better. So I'm going to take that extra, minute to put it on a mannequin. And if it doesn't fit, I'll use a hanger. But I would say 95% of my stuff is on a mannequin, and that just kind of works for me. So, and I think a hanger is totally fine if you don't have a mannequin. But I think I have my mannequin linked. I think it was a really great purchase, and I've used it a ton. And I highly recommend the one that I have because it's easy to spin. It's easy to take off the top if you need, whatever. I really like it. But yeah. All right. Number 9, would also love to know your favorite thrifted find of 2023 and why. I didn't really think of answers to these questions beforehand. So I don't know my favorite thrifted find of this year. Because I don't think I had anything that was like stand out. Oh my gosh, this sold for, $1 million. I mean, I've never had anything sell for $1 million, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of my favorite thrifted finds have been, I've been buying a little bit more for myself, and like just clothes that I need and finding them, and I don't know, but that's probably a bad thing too. I'll try and maybe pop something in if I can remember one later when I'm editing or something, after looking it up, because nothing stands out on the top of my mind. All right, number 10, if you won the lotto, would you still go to the bins? That's a really fun question. This might be my favorite question of the bunch. I think so, because I don't think it's the amount of money. I mean, I like a deal, and I like the hunt. And the lotto, I mean, it could just be $1 million, which, yeah, that sounds like a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, that isn't that much money. Like, I wouldn't be able to retire off of $1 million. So, yeah, I think so. I don't like spending too much on certain things, especially when there are great deals out there for things like clothing, so, or even hard goods and, thrifted finds. But yeah, I think I would. But hey, maybe we'll find out someday, even though I don't play the lotto, so probably won't find out. Number 11, are you tired of reselling? And then a separate person asked, do you still like reselling? Is it still fun for you? I don't think I'm tired of reselling. I'm tired of driving to LA to thrift. I'm just going to be 100% frank. I'm tired of the drive and the long days thrifting, and I really wish I lived closer to more thrifting, and it has become exhausting for me. Because I have a life here and I've got things here, and, it's yesterday I was out thrifting and I had a crisis going on with one of my escrows, and I had to stop at a restaurant and pull out my computer and go back and forth with paperwork, and it just interrupted my whole thrifting day, and I couldn't just run home to do that and go back to thrifts. Like, it's just a whole process, and I feel like I also just don't I'm just not excited to drive out of town anymore because I do have a life here. I'm excited to be here. And when I have to go out of town, it's like, all right, I'll be gone all day. So yeah, I still like reselling a lot. I still think it's fun. I just don't do it as much because I don't have as much time, which is probably good for me. But, you know, I think there's an up and down feeling with reselling. When you're finding a lot of great stuff, reselling can be great. When you're not finding a lot of great stuff, reselling can be pretty terrible. So at least for me. But yeah, I still like reselling. There's so many days I'm just like, I just need to move closer to a city because being a rural reseller is hard. And I don't, but I have more room, space. But yeah. All right. Number 12, what is one of your unpopular opinions? I don't think you should take advice from resellers on YouTube. I don't. There's just so much bad advice out there, and people just say things or they regurgitate things that they've heard. And I'm not saying that people are intentionally trying to cause harm. I think that some people, they're just trying to make content. A lot of them, they're just trying to teach and be helpful. But I think, you know, ultimately there's a lot of people out there that's just gotten a lot of misinformation or misunderstand the information. And I think ultimately the best way to learn reselling and a lot of things in life is just by doing. And I think, you know, if learning brands by people showing them, talking about them, what's selling for them, that can be really helpful, but it doesn't mean it's going to sell that way for you. It doesn't mean you have the whole picture of how much they paid for it, how long it took to sell. Some people do provide a lot of information, but it doesn't mean that in 6 months when you find that brand's still going to be wanted. So I think ultimately at the end of the day, I think I really have liked sharing my journey here. I'm going to continue sharing my reselling journey here. I have no plans to stop, but I also try not to give advice because I just think I don't want to contribute to that. If that makes sense. And I don't know. I mean, like there's questions on here and I'm answering them because someone asked them. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. But I think the best way to become a better reseller is to resell and not watch resellers. And you could disagree with that. It's okay. My feelings won't be hurt. All right. Number 13, and I'm sure I have other unpopular opinions. We all know some of them. If you've been watching this channel for a long time, I'm pretty vocal about what I don't like. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if that's unpopular. All right, number 13, we're into YouTube questions, a few YouTube questions. Number 13, my question is, 5 years later, how have you seen YouTube change as a social media platform for resellers? And do you still find joy in making videos and creating content, or does it feel more like work and an income stream job now? I scaled back a lot on YouTube, just like I scaled back on reselling. I scaled back on both because I don't want to burn out and I want to continue to enjoy it. And I think the grind of YouTube content can be really, really hard. I don't want to be a famous YouTuber. I would be okay if my number stayed the same in every way. I would be okay if it went down a little bit. I feel uncomfortable. I've always felt a little uncomfortable being on camera and going to thrift stores or the bins and, you know, having stares or having a random, there was a guy one time and I walked into one of the bins locations. He's like, "You're on YouTube." And he sorry, that was probably loud. He yelled across the room and it was like, "Oh," and it wasn't in like a nice way. It was in like this, I don't know. It's very uncomfortable. And there's a lot of really nice people that have come up to me over the years. And I'm so thankful to have had awesome conversations. And I wish I could meet more people. Maybe not the crazy guy, none of those, but I don't. I find joy in sharing the good and the bad of my reselling journey because I want to keep things real. I've always wanted to keep things real. I don't want to candy coat. I don't want to withhold information. I really try to do that, and that's why I keep making content. But the creative side has always been hard. And These days, I mean, it's not, yeah, I have some sponsorships. Yeah, there's some ad revenue. And so it is part of the job, but I could do a lot more with this, and I don't. Last month I didn't do any videos. I went like 36 days without making a video. And right now I've got 3 videos this month, and I'm excited about that. But really, I only do 2 or 3 videos a month on average these days. So, I've scaled back because I want to keep doing it and I want it to be manageable. And I feel like, there needs to be more, I need to keep doing the realness thing, because that I think is still needed in the space. And it's changed. It's definitely changed. There's a lot of people that try it, and I think a lot of people learn it's hard, but I'm not complaining, because I feel like it's been great for me to get over some of my fears, and also to admit my faults and to reflect, So I really enjoy it. It's also led me to my camping channel and my real estate channel, and it's given me a whole different thing to do, like today, working on a couple videos. And it keeps my life a little interesting, but I still don't recommend it. Not because I don't think other people would do great. I think a lot of people would do great. I just think I think some people turn it into an obsession. They just become so obsessed. They spend a whole day on a thumbnail. They look at their analytics and study, and they compare. And I can't remember the last time I stressed about any of that. And I'm thankful that I didn't go down that rabbit hole, because I think that's easy to go down. And I also wouldn't want to rely on the income personally, because it's so up and down and so volatile. But all right, number 14, how do you edit your YouTube videos? I use iMovie on my iPhone. Everyone thinks it's weird. It works for me, but that's how I edit all my videos. And I can use iMovie on my computer, because I do have a MacBook that's dirty, apparently, but on my phone it's just easier for me. And I don't do a lot of editing, crazy editing. I've got 2 dogs outside wanting to come in. They're not coming in yet. But if you hear whining, that's what they are. I know, Heidi. All right, last YouTube question. Do you reach out to companies to sponsor your videos? If so, any tips for a newish YouTuber? So I have a management company, and so I don't do any of my sponsorships anymore. They tell me when a company wants to work with me, and they have deals with lots of influencers on their roster, is what it's called. And they found me, and I've been working with them for a year and a half, 2 years. Before that, I had my own media kit. You can just Google media kit influencer, see some different options. I had different prices. I've never done a fully dedicated video for any brand. I do like a 2-minute insert. And I also always get paid. I've never done a sponsorship for an item only. Not to knock anyone who does that, but for the time it takes to do sponsorships and the communication back and forth, I always require a payment up front. You have to get to a place where you've got enough views consistently and enough data to get companies to want to work with you. And back in the day when I didn't have the management company, yeah, I did occasionally email companies, and most of them ignored me. So, yeah, but a lot of them, I would always add my email address in the description. A lot of the early days were a lot of Amazon cheap things wanting to send me free product. I ignored those. You might want to try some reseller platforms, because they might take a smaller channel, like a cross-listing service or something like that. A box company. I don't think ThreadUp does anything in our space. They do it with other influencers, but any tips? I would just say focus on growing your channel. Make sure your contact information is in your description box and also on your channel. And companies will eventually reach out if your channel is performing. And once companies start reaching out and you start getting a feel, I would say do what you're comfortable with. But for me personally, I wouldn't do anything for free or for free product. And that's just me. But it takes a while, and it takes a lot of sorting through emails. And the management company, they found me, they gave me a trial run with a video for a company, and I did well. And then I think they gave me another couple videos. And then once I did well on all those and we had good communication and I was meeting my deadlines, then they asked if I wanted to sign. So I'm currently signed with them. All of my sponsorships for all my social media go through them. And yeah, that's how it works. They take a cut, but they also have asked for more from these companies than I was ever asking. So it's worked out, and I'm very thankful for that. And they're fun companies to work with. And I reject a lot of the ones they throw at me. And I really appreciate that they let me do that because I want to keep things honest. So, all right, personal questions. How is Soren doing? He's in the crate right now because he was out here and I tried to film this in the beginning and it was just going crazy. He's great. He's hard. Puppies are hard. 2 dogs is hard. 3 dogs is harder. I'll get to that. I'll get to that in the next question. So yeah, it's hard, but I started taking him to daycare to get him a little more socialized. I started taking him to dog parks every once in a while. And he's a happy pup. He's just so needy of my attention, unlike Luna, who's very independent. But I'm very thankful that the 2 dogs play together. The 3 dogs, we're still getting them acclimated. I do not have a 3rd dog, but the next question is, am I seeing anyone right now? And when do we get to meet the new Boo? I think that's how they wrote it. So yes, I am seeing someone. And I don't know if I'm going to introduce him. I learned a lot from doing that before, and I've been very hesitant. I'm not going to introduce him in a formal way. He is on my camping Instagram. I think I just gave a little glimpse of him in a reel. But I don't think I'm going to do any formal introductions. He does want to go to thrift stores. He's not a thrifter. He's not a reseller. He's interested in my life. He still doesn't even know about this channel. And we've been dating almost 4 months, and he respects my boundaries. Yeah. So he just, yeah, I don't know what else to say other than, his name is Robert. He has a dog named Heidi. He works at a regular job, and Heidi is at his house. He lives in my area and lives about 20 minutes from me. And so I don't know, like a month or 2 ago, I think it was a couple months ago, I offered like, hey, if I'm cruising through town and near your house, like I can always pick up Heidi and maybe she can come play with the dogs. And just cause she's sitting at home by herself all day. And so that's what I've done. A couple days a week, I'll pick up Heidi, I'll bring her by. I've got a big yard fenced in, the dogs can play. I've had some issues with the 3 of them playing together. So I, right now, only keep 2 of them by themselves together and kind of cycle them through. But, so yeah, so between the 2 of us having 3 dogs, it's a lot. But, yeah, he's a great guy. What else would you guys, he's texting right now that's going to my computer. He's picking up dinner. I met him, at a restaurant in town. And the restaurant has, like, you can eat at the bar that's kind of in a U shape. And there's a girl that works there, and I would occasionally, once every week or 2, pop in, have some dinner, chat with her. And it was just kind of a social thing. And there was one night that he was there because the shape of the bar is, anyways, it's right off the freeway. A lot of people that go there are like passing through on the way to Vegas or driving through. And so it's almost like a truck stop, to be honest. Sounds really appealing, but they've got great food and it's casual and it's easy. So anyways, he was there and I was talking to her, and then she kind of looped him in, and then him and I started talking, and then some other people came in and they were grabbing a drink before going to the restaurant next door and they were chiming in anyways. And so that's how we met. And he asked me if I wanted to go on a date, and we did like a week later, but we had already been talking for a while. And so he's into camping. I'm obviously into camping. And we just it was easy conversation, and it's been easy conversation since. So that's what I have to share about him. Yeah, we've gone on a lot of little trips, bigger trips. And I couldn't ask for a better guy at the moment. Yeah, no red flags, which is great. And I have been looking for him. So anyways, he's a great guy. Will he ever be in a video? Maybe just a little glimpse. I don't think there's going to be any formal video, just because I don't want to ruin a good thing, you know? So that's all I have to say at the moment. Okay, number 18, describe, so that was 17. I don't know if I said 17, whatever. Describe my perfect day. My perfect day, oh gosh, I would have a great night's sleep, wake up, go for a hike. No, I feel like my perfect day, I would just go on a road trip. That's what, yeah, I'd wake up, get in the car, pack the dogs in, maybe actually leave the dogs since I need a break from them, but they're good to go on adventures. But yeah, go on a little road trip. I think it's just so fun to explore a new area. Doesn't mean it has to be like an overnight thing. It could just be a couple hours away. Go eat somewhere new, go for a hike somewhere new, hopefully somewhere where there's great weather, you know, but not working, not having phone calls for real estate. That's a great day. I think I'm pretty easy. I don't expect much, but a pretty chill day in a new place, some decent food, good company. That's the perfect day. All right, number 19, have I ever dyed my hair a crazy color or cut it drastically? I've never dyed my hair in any way, shape, or form. And I have donated my hair a couple times, I think 2 or 3 times. And so I had to chop it significantly, and I couldn't do it anymore because I just don't, short hair does not look good on me. It just, no. So, but that was a long time ago. That was when I was like early college years. But that's about it. Most of the time it's long and like this. So, all right, number 20, what hair care and styling products to use. Dove shampoo and conditioner, and like a cheap, what is the brand called for hairspray? That's about it. If I've got any curls or waves, I usually put a little hairspray. That's about it. I am pretty simple. And yeah, I've tried some other things, and if I'm feeling extra special or get something on a deal type of thing, but so far no company has reached out to sponsor me for hair care, and I'm hoping for it if they're good. Number 21, the last question is real estate. Has the real estate business gone better than you thought and hoped for? So yeah, actually, it's been a year and 2 days since I sold my first house. It's been 2 years since I got my license. And it took me a whole year before I sold my first house. So, but yeah, I think I've sold 8 or 9 in the last 12 months. And I think that's pretty good for what I do as a part-time real estate person, realtor. So yeah, I think it's gone better than I expected. It's, you know, it's a weird space. It's got some high stress moments right now. I should have had an escrow close like a week ago, and I'm on pins and needles waiting for an update. And so it's an extra layer of stress that I don't know if my life needed, but it gets me out of the house. I have an office, I have a team. I get to interact with people in person that want to buy homes. But there's a lot of communication that doesn't go anywhere either. So I feel like there's a lot of wasted time that doesn't produce in paying out. I did have one escrow fall through completely, and I spent almost 2 months on it. And to go through that much work and not get a paycheck is really hard and devastating. But I think overall, I think I've done okay. I think I'm honest, I'm transparent. And yeah, my 3rd YouTube channel has been great. And part of the reason I was able to do that was because of this channel. And part of the reason I have this channel is because of reselling. And it's all a cycle of fun. So anyways, but yeah, that's it. Those are my 21 questions. Thank you, Earth Breeze, for sponsoring today's video. They have been awesome and supporting this channel. And I use their product every day while I'm doing washing for myself or my reselling stuff. So go check them out if you haven't. And I really appreciate you guys still here. It's been 5 years on YouTube. Crazy to think of. And I am looking forward to another 5 years if you guys will keep watching. So I will see you in the next video. Hopefully another bins haul. I don't know. Maybe something fun. We'll see. Anyways, be sure to hit the thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.